Hello, this message is for Tina. Hello, this message is for Chris. Love to get a chance to talk with you about your project and how we can work with you. Guess everybody's at work. I have an office day today, which means that I am home. If you haven't gathered yet, I have a home office. There's all kinds of things to distract me, so I gotta keep my focus in order to get work done. Though doing this vlog has been a challenge, I feel like my art is becoming honed a little bit more. The big challenge is finding the story. Every day needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The nut of today's story is going to be the cool and sustainable aspects of my home. You're gonna hear a little bit about what makes my house special and what we do as a business to make other people's houses special. Before you pound a single nail, you have to figure out, where is this house gonna go? If you want to take advantage of that burning ball of helium in space, you know, that thermonuclear reaction which gives us all life, then it's very important to face the house towards the sun. I don't know how the phenomenon started, but nowadays people care more about pointing their house towards the road. Here's a little news flash, folks. The road does not give you free energy. You know, the north is where all the cold comes from, the northwest winds. There's no sunlight coming from the north. So you want to minimize the building's exposure to the northern elevation, and that's what we've done here. You can see at this elevation, the house is human scale, mostly roof, no windows at all. And this is the south elevation. This is the side that points towards the sun. This is the side in which we maximized the glass to provide an inroad for that free solar radiation. A south-facing roof helps for photovoltaics. Minimize the north elevation, maximize the south elevation. Materials selection is a big part of building sustainable houses. The exterior of the building is very important because that's what's exposed to the weather most of the time. Nowadays, there's this trend towards plastic exteriors, vinyl siding, cheap rubber plastic windows. While plastic does make it possible and plastic can be relatively cheap, it's also highly unsustainable, not recyclable, and is not a natural material. So this is the northern white cedar siding. These are called shakes. The trees were cut in Maine, grown in Maine, milled in Maine, and now on the side of a Maine building. Once you start painting a surface, you have to continually paint it over the life of that surface. So we decided it's all or nothing. And for us, it turned out to be nothing. The roof is made of metal. It's gonna last 50 years. I'll probably never have to put another roof on this building. So the idea is get a high quality roof that you know will not need to be replaced before the solar panels. All of the deck material, the flooring for my deck, came from somebody else's deck. This rather wealthy person decided that they didn't like the look of this Port Orford cedar. I'm repurposing it. I got it for free. It's cedar. It's gonna last a long time. The deck rails and posts are milled from old telephone poles. Alaskan yellow cedar, western red cedar. As a contractor, my father had lots of odds and ends from old jobs. 200 square foot of cherry flooring here, 100 square feet of yellow birch here, 300 square feet of oak, some maple. You just have to use the same species of wood for the whole run, from side of building to side of building. Odd lots from old jobs put together in stripes of color. This is the north side of the building. This is the mudroom entry. It is vertically integrated with the root cellar below, also meant to be a slightly cooler space. The refrigerator is inset into the mudroom. So my idea was to use the refrigerator to heat the mudroom. From the living space side of things, it's kind of cool too, because your refrigerator is flush with the wall and doesn't really take up space in what's kind of a narrow pantry area right now. I should explain the difference between active solar and passive solar, because they're two very different things. Passive means that you're using the sunlight directly to heat something that is then going to later give that heat back off or re-radiate the heat. This room is an example of passive solar. The idea in this situation is to let the sun come through all of this glass to heat up the surfaces in this room and then re-radiate that heat as it starts to get cooler. As the air is warming up from the re-radiation of energy from these surfaces, it rises. And we've designed the house such that when the air rises, that warm air will go into the second story and force cooler air down the stairwell to create a convective loop. Active solar uses the solar energy to do a job. You're imposing some kind of a system on that solar energy to move it someplace else and save it and store it for later. This is an example of active solar as well. Photovoltaic panels convert solar radiation into electricity. There's 2 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof. Those solar panels are connected through this conduit here. The charge controller is deciding how much to charge these batteries. There are 20 of these batteries, and they're about that tall, and that wide, and that long. I have roughly 3 days of electricity in this battery bank stored up. So here's where the magic happens. The inverter then changes the direct current power into alternating current power. We go from DC to AC. So you can see it's a big difference between my house and the typical house. This is if we can magically take all of the leaks in the house and put them into one circle. How big is the circle? This is part of the reason why my house is so energy efficient, because there are very few air leaks. We use primarily white pine flooring, aside from the hardwood flooring in the first story. Beside being the state tree is extremely abundant. So it's a very renewable resource. White pines kind of grow like weeds in the States. And then we installed a hard waxed oil over the white pine flooring, a non-toxic alternative to polyurethane, which is like putting a layer of plastic over the wood. And the color, 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 and the color. Andrea and I designed the house together, but she gave me a lot of license when it came to picking trim types and doors and how the bump out was going to look and what the materials were going to be. But she made 2 caveats. She said, I will be picking out all of the wall colors and we will have a clawfoot tub. And thank goodness she did pick out the colors, because I would have had nowhere near the creativity. Well, I hope you've gotten a sense of my house. It certainly isn't a comprehensive understanding of all of the systems and what's going on, but at least you get a background of my thinking, a basic understanding of the material selection and why it's important to try to repurpose materials, reuse materials, use odd lots instead of trying to buy new quantities. You learned a little bit about photovoltaics today, the difference between active and passive solar, why air sealing makes a difference, how to do air sealing properly. Thanks for coming along on this ride with me today. I have a lot of fun reading your comments, and I try to address them as much as I can through the vlogs. Otherwise, have a great evening.